Well, good evening, everybody. 6 o'clock Thursday evening. Here we go. And for those of you that are watching my camera bouncing around, I've got a cat that wants to be on my desk. So that it's always fun. Alrighty, Thursday night. So this is the last session for the 2026 Intro to Cross Country Seminar Series. Uh, all of our sessions prior to this evening have been focused on knowledge that the pilots should have access to as they start to explore our fascinating world of cross-country flight. This session is about methods that you can use to share your soaring activities with others and to relive them. Tonight's the thing about remember, this is about our joy of flight. So here we are in the schedule. Our normal little slide to remind everybody the presentation will be available on the members.ssa.org site. And you can get on there, go to your homepage, news and resources, and go down to webinars. And so one of the titles will be for the recording and the other will be for the slide downloads. Again, we want to thank the SSA for making the webinar software available and to Frank for being the guy running around in the background and keeping this stuff up and running. Our wings folks that do all the background work to make these sessions available for wings credit. Remember, it's the online session that is available for credit. Hopefully you registered for the seminar with your wings login email. And remember, you need to be around for an hour for it to, or however long the seminar lasts, but at least an hour for it to count, and only the live webinar counts. Again, we have our instructors hiding in the background so that you can ask questions and they will get answers. If it's a more general question, then we'll take it at the end of the session in our Q&A session. If it's really imminent kind of thing, we'll hit it with, they'll interrupt and bring the question up right in the middle. Excuse me. Okay, a couple of callbacks for some of the stuff that we've done in the past. When we talked about the portable gliding computers, okay, this is an update since we did that seminar. Navigator can now declare tasks to external devices via the Bluetooth interface. So it can declare tasks to the LXNav Varios, so the S8, S80, and the S10 and S100. You have to have a Bluetooth interface on them. The S10, S100 is an IGC approved flight recorder. And it can also declare to FLARMs now that have the Bluetooth interface. I know for sure the Fusion has, and some others may, but that's also an IGC approved flight recorder. So for badges and records and stuff like that. So you need to check the Navigator documentation for the required software and firmware versions. It's 3.9, I think, for Navigator, and then they specify the minimum software for the LXNav devices. In my case, I Bluetooth to an S100, and then I have the S100 physically connected to the older PowerFlarm core, and the S100 then relays the declaration into the FLARM, and I've checked the files that come out of it, and it's a good task declaration in the FLARM, so I'm pretty comfortable with saying this thing is working. One other one, this comes up, keeps coming up. So for collision avoidance technology, this discussion is for standard airworthiness certificate gliders. For ADS-B out, the traffic awareness beacon system, it's called TABS. This provides for voluntary things to make sure that we're visible. So the TSO is TSO C199, And this is for aircraft that are not mandated to carry transponders, such as our gliders and balloons. Now, standard airworthiness certificate gliders can provide ADS-B out via a TABS installation. You have to remember that this does not meet all the requirements of TSOC 166B, which is what you have to meet that equipment standard in order to be usable for 91-225 and 91-227 operations. Now, the reason that tabs most likely, if you've got standard airworthiness, the reason that you're using tabs and not the C166B is most likely because you're not paired with a TSO certified WAS, Wide Area Augmentation System, GPS position source. So this is very often a TT22 paired with a TN72 or the new TT23G. Both of those are trig systems. And the tab installation is indicated by setting the system integrity level, the SIL, equal to 1 in the device configuration. Now, where the questions come up and where people get concerned is they then go and fly and they pull the public ADS-B performance report, the PAPR. What you have to remember, or maybe you don't know, or when I say remember, you may not even know, the PAPR only evaluates to the TSO 166B compliance. It does not check for TSO 199, the TABS compliance. With SIL equal to 1, the three parameters, and we'll talk about them here in a second, fail the PAPR checks. If they fail with the following indicated values, so system integrity level, SIL equal 1, system design assurance, SDA, equal to 1, and navigation integrity category, NIC, equal to 6, those values for those parameters match the ones given in the TSO C199 traffic awareness beacon system requirements. In other words, your tab system is functioning as expected. The PAPR is just not set up to evaluate a tabs installation. But if you've put in a tabs installation in your certified standard airworthiness certificate glider and it fails the PAPR for those three parameters, but with the values I just gave, you have a functioning system. The tab system is functioning as expected. And so you're not set up for action by the FAA or anybody else because you don't have a compliant system. What you don't have is you don't have a compliant system for 91-225 and 91-227. And remember, our goal is visibility. So the various air-to-air systems should be able to see the glider's tabs out, ADS-B out transmission without any problem. It will be visible with the assigned in number. And the only real problem difference if you've got SIL 1 versus SIL 3 is there's a more uncertainty around the glider's actual position than an aircraft with SIL 3. Okay. But, it's for what we're doing, making ourselves visible to other traffic, it's not really that much of a problem. The other thing is if you go in and you set your glider up in FlarmNet with its ICAO address and then give it a contest number or maybe the last 2 or 3 digits of the N number, then it should come up visible to the ADS-B inside of everybody's FLARM installation and will show that selected contest number. So that helps make it visible all the way around. Okay, so for those of you that have been working with putting the tabs installation in a standard airworthiness glider, this is the description of what you should see when you look at the PAPR report. And if you've got those values, SIL 1, SDA 1, and NIC 6, you're operating as expected. And so Congratulations, you're now visible. All right, off to our topic for the evening. OLC and WeGlide. While you're reading this, I think I've quoted this to you before. It's one of the things that about whenever I go fly. My first soaring instructor was more of a metaphysical kind of person than a science or engineering person. And he always encouraged me to reach beyond merely flying, to go beyond just the flying, but to go for a deeper meaning, a greater experience. And I kind of followed that, even though I'm an engineer by training and my career, but it's really kind of fun. And, what happens is soaring is a wonderful lifetime teacher. There are the challenge it offers. And, we all need challenges in our lives. And then there's our experience in meeting those challenges. And it's the experience we remember, and it's the experience that we want to share with others. Um, the only other activity that even comes close, and it's not the same as soaring for me, is long distance cycling. Bicycle, or I ride a recumbent trike, but is doing long distance riding on that. And that comes close, but it's still not what soaring is for me. Okay, we're going to talk this evening about flight loggers, online contests, and WeGlide. The focus our series has been so far is early cross country. Tonight, we're focusing on recording the flight and sharing it via OLC and WeGlide. Other than the setup of the flight logger, the details of the OLC and WeGlide, we're going to go over it, but it's still going to be kind of glossed over. There's details behind it, and there's a whole lot to learn. And there are little niches in there that, even though I've used both for OLC for a number of years and WeGlide off and on for the last couple of years, there are niches in there that I haven't explored. Okay, when we're talking about flight loggers, we have two large categories of flight loggers. There are loggers that can be used for official purposes. I'm putting official in quotes. No, for those of you watching the camera, I did not do air quotes. So this is badges, diplomas, records, and some contests. These loggers have hardware and software requirements that are specified by the FAI's International Gliding Commission, the IGC. And then there's all other loggers. So with one exception, all the loggers produce a common file format of the flight trace. In addition to the flight position data, there's information about the identity of the logger and the status of the security mechanisms required for the official loggers. There's data in there for the aircraft, the pilot, and the task. The file name of the file generally has a representation that includes the flight date, the logger manufacturer, the logger serial number, and flight number for the logger for that day. In other words, you could take off and have, file number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you flew 4 flights and you recorded them. The file name ends with a period followed by the characters IGC. And so, we commonly shorten that and refer to them as IGC files. We talked about the various types of loggers in session 1 in the intro to cross country. In addition to the dedicated standalone loggers, all of the cockpit computers that we described in the intro to portable gliding computers can produce IGC files. And all of those loggers fall into the other loggers category. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the setup for CU Navigator. And the reason that I picked that is because almost everyone is a smartphone user. And we're focusing on the software that's easily available, easy to install, easy to configure. Oh, all right. It's easy for some folks to configure. And for the purpose of this, creating the flight log, it's easy to use. The link at the top of the page takes you to the CU Navigator webpage. The links in this presentation, when you download the package to the app stores work, they link directly to the Navigator apps for Apple and Android. or iOS and Android. So what are we going to do with the logger? We're going to record an IGC file for your flight. One of the things that you can do, for instance, if you're not using your smartphone as your in-flight computer, you're just using it as a logger, you can configure the software to run in the background, and then you're not running your screen and you're not burning through your battery quite as quickly. So it has that capability. We're going to talk about the setup. So how to do the select the glider, the polar, and stuff like that. Navigator can be used as a tracker as well. We talked about this a little bit in the tracking seminar. And if you turn on the OGN layer, then what happens is, in addition to receiving the position from the OGN network, or that was redundant, from OGN, you also share your position to OGN. And the link at the top of the page is for the CU Navigator free version. With the free version, there are some limitations. You can select a new navigation target from the main menu target screen or by tapping anywhere on the map feature. A long tap on the map will start navigation to that location, even if there's no predefined waypoint at that location. However, the free functionality, all of the above works, but you won't be able to select whatever location you picked on that for navigation. The software on the free version always navigates you back to your takeoff location. So this is, I mean, the navigator people, naviteers, CU, however you want to think of them. Um, their idea behind the free version is it's a wonderful intro tool for somebody who's just reaching out a little bit further away from the airport and wants to have some of these capabilities. It's not your contest replacement or your true cross-country navigator until you decide to buy the subscription to the device, or to the software. I'm sorry, not to the device. It's possible to integrate weather from third-party providers like CU, or into CU Navigator, sorry, so like SkySight. These integrations don't work on the free version. Okay, so you need to have an active subscription to get your weather, and you're also then going to have an active subscription to the source for the weather. Navigator is able to connect to external Bluetooth devices. I was talking about connecting to the S100 and the like in order to declare tasks. You also can get data back from the S100 and from the FLARM, either relayed through an S100 or an S80 or an S8. I used to have an S80 and I now have an S100, so I have a tendency to default to those numbers. I like the 3-inch instruments. The 8 and the 10 have all the same functionality as the larger, but they're in a 57 millimeter version. So they can provide sensor input for more precise information on your computer. However, in the free version, you can only connect for 3 minutes. It resets. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of flavor in the free version to do some more advanced things, but there are limitations to what you can do with the free version. But the nice thing is, it will display maps and it will help you navigate back to your home, to your takeoff location, and help you do your final glide calculation and stuff like that. All right. This is the opening screen for the newer, I say late new version, but they changed this just a couple of years ago. They used to have a different screen that came up. This is what you see today. Probably the best description for this screen is flight management. This is where you're going to set up the flight. This button goes to the select aircraft page. And you go there, for instance, in mine, this is the page. This is the planes that I most commonly fly, except I don't have the FD anymore. She has a nice home in California now. And if the aircraft you want is not in that list, this little plus button up here or up here in the corner will allow you to add an aircraft. So that takes you to a page where you can select the type of aircraft. And from there, you can get a list of the aircraft. So, it's a search field up at the top. So I'm going to search for PW5, or actually I just searched for PW and it came up with a 5 and a 6. So partial names work. So I'm picking the PW5. It's going to give me the glider information. You enter your N number, your contest ID, and remember we talked about in the tracking webinar how to go back, or either the tracking webinar or maybe the collision avoidance webinar, on how to take your N number and convert that into an ICAO address. So you enter that in the FLARM ID field and then click Add. And now that glider has been added, plus it's also been selected on your flight management page, or what I'm calling the flight management page. So your logger is now configured for that aircraft. This one takes you over to the main map page. So on this screen, I have a weather layer turned on. So the green, yellow, orange, and purple on the map are from the convergence layer forecast as provided by SkySight. So, somewhere over there to the west of the location, looks like there's good lift in the mountains. That's not too far back from the continental. That's back from the Front Range, but maybe not all the way back to the Continental Divide. So, starting from the main map page, you can get back to your flight management page with this icon. And back on the flight management page, you can go to logbook and you can go and see your flights. So we're going to select this one. Yeah. And this is how you upload. So that is the upload icon. So you've completed your flight, you got back, and now you want to upload it. So there's the icon for upload. It goes to the upload page. You select the site that you want to upload to, and notice OLC and WeGlide are on there, plus a number of others. So I'm going to select OLC. I could have selected WeGlide, and it works the same way. And then you're going to come around, put your login credentials in, and you're going to go to the site, and you've said upload for that flight, and then it's going to acknowledge that the flight got uploaded. You're going to claim it. And then what's going to happen, like with OLC, it's going to take you over so you can log into the website itself and finish your flight claim. All right, so now that works the same. It works fundamentally the same way whether you're using OLC or WeGlide. Okay. Now, OLC, it's the largest non-commercial platform for soaring. Worldwide computer scored glider contest. The whole idea was originally they were dissatisfied with participation in physical contests, and they tried to create a virtual contest to encourage cross-country soaring. It's a nonprofit organization. All the services are free of charge. I mean, you can donate, and they'll put a little icon next to your name in the whenever your name pops up, but you don't have to. It's free of charge. The link there goes to the donor and partnership page on the OLC website. The SSA is a partner for the OLC, as are a number of other organizations. All right, OLC status. OLC has an online magazine. Wow, let me back up. I just jumped through 2 or 3 topics in my head. On April 17th, the OLC put out a status that they were going to discontinue the OLC. On the 29th of April this year, they had an update that all OLC services are secured through the end of September. All functions will remain active as usual until the end of September. There's a caveat with that. Their support desk is going to be real thin if it's going to be running at all. So if you needed to contact the support desk, it's probably not going to be there. On April 30th, they added that all of the leagues, so the speed leagues and the gold and silver leagues and stuff like that, are all going to be um, running this year. And I'll have a little more detail on that. And then that's the links to the rules if it's the first time you're hearing about this. So as far as we know right now, for this year through September, because remember OLC's year runs from late September to late September, the week before for the following year. So we're at least good through the end of this OLC year. Where did it start? A gentleman by the name of Rainer Rose wanted to increase soaring participation by simplifying the German decentralized competition. So he founded the OLC, got support by the German aviation magazine. In 2003, the current format premiered, and in 2010, he was awarded the FAI Lilienthal Medal for the OLC development. And the OLC is an award to reward particularly remarkable performance in gliding or eminent services to the sport of gliding over a long period of time. So this was significant, and it I think it changed things for all of us. They have various competitions. There's worldwide, and then within a national setting, there's regional and club. And then there's partner organizations that set up and run competitions. And then there are leagues. The leagues are almost all club-based participation. And I'll show you some of that later. Participation over the last couple of seasons. In 2024, 65,000 flights, 18 million plus kilometers, and 7,000 competitors. There has been a general decline. I think it started with the COVID pandemic. And so over the years, I mean, just a few years back, that flight number for an entire season was up in the 90,000 range. 2025, we still have significant number of folks participating and a lot of kilometers flown and a lot of flights being made. So far this year for 2026, as of this afternoon, almost 13,000 flights, almost 4 million kilometers, and almost 2,500 folks have submitted flights. It is decreasing from previous years, and that may be part of the thing that where OLC is having difficulty keeping their funding or keeping interest going. OLC Plus, just a second. Did I miss something there? Nope. Oh, yeah, I did. This is our club participation, and we're down some from prior to COVID, but we're still holding fairly steady in our club. 2024, we had 252 flights, 66,000 kilometers. 20 of our pilots were posting flights with almost 700 hours flown across that. 2025, 285 flights, 67,000 kilometers, 19 folks flying, and almost 700 hours. And so far this year, 82 flights, almost 13,000 kilometers, and so far we've got 18 club members that are flying, and they put in a total of 153 hours. We've had a fairly mild year. We've had some good months in February and March. Interestingly enough, we just had a couple of inches of snow 2 days ago, and that's not unusual for Colorado. Even on the Front Range, we often get snow on the Mother's Day weekend. So, I know everybody across the country saw the news about Colorado's getting hit by snow. It's not that unusual. You know, we're going to have a screaming day on Saturday. So OLC Plus is one of the evolutions in their competition mechanism. OLC in general, it's easy to enter. The whole idea behind it was no declarations, no forms, no turn points, no witnesses or official observers required. So you flew with a recorder and you submitted your flight log to the OLC. There's no entry fee associated, and the only requirement on your log is that it must be uploaded within 48 hours of your landing or uh, when your logger quit working, if it quit in the air. The scoring is a total distance, and then there's a FAI triangle bonus, and then there is also the straight line to the greatest distance from your start bonus. And those three combined give you points. The contest year runs from late September through to the weekend before in the following year. So it finishes like on a Sunday and then it restarts the following Friday, and it's both of those are in late September. There are other flight types. They have a destination, which this one is intended to encourage beginning cross-country flights uh, for beginning cross-country pilots. Its scoring is based on distance points that you earn in the OLC Plus. So basically, you're getting for destination, you're getting points out to as far as you got away from your takeoff point or your home airfield. And so they also have some modifiers. So there's a home airfield factor, a pilot factor, and an aircraft factor. So, if you're not real experienced pilot, then you get a little kicker. If you're flying a 126 versus an ASW 19, you get a little kicker for that. And then there's some for the home airport. I'm not sure all the parameters they put into it. OLC rookie, this was added in 2021. So this is a category. This is for pilots that haven't completed a 300-kilometer flight in their OLC history, and it takes the best three flights for each year. There's OLC speed. This is club based, and this is a 150-minute sprint, so 2.5 hours, and you do like 6 turn points. You got to go read the rules, but it's like a closed course, or a course, not a closed course, a course around 6 turn points. And then in the United States, there's Gold League and Silver League. Um, there's In the United States, there's also one that's worldwide. This is for the pilots in your club, the three fastest cross-country times on a weekend on the OLC sprint task. So up to three different pilots per club per weekend. Okay, it doesn't have to be the same. They have weekly rounds. It doesn't have to be the same pilots every week. It can be, you know, three this week and two of those plus another one next week, and then three different people the weekend after. Okay, and then they're given points, and each year they come up and rank the clubs. So the Gold League for 2025 had 12 clubs in the Gold League, and the Silver League had 25 clubs. And at the end of the year, the bottom four clubs in the Gold League drop down to silver for the next year, and the top four clubs in silver move up to the Gold League. Now, normally this starts in April, but we had the hiccup with the OLC saying, we're not going to do it this year, and then revising it and saying we are going to do it. So the leagues this year, instead of starting in April, they started the weekend of May 2nd and 3rd and will end after 17 rounds on the weekend of August 22nd and 23rd. Flight documentation for OLC, it's based on flight recordings. The link up there will take you to the OLC website that lists all of the recorders that they accept input from. Basically, everything, you know, is that records the flight is acceptable. But they do have a thing about the IGC approved recorders or just an OLC approved flight recorder. So you get a green V ball on your flight information for an IGC recorder, and you get a blue ball for the OLC flight recorder. And I'm not sure, but I think the IGC recorder is required for the gold and silver league flights, but I don't really remember. Again, check the rules. Oh, no, I've got it in there. League and speed scoring requires an IGC flight recorder. Motorized gliders require some kind of detection for the engine operating. So there's an engine noise level detector on a lot of the recorders, very quiet motor gliders. So, some of the jets and some of the electric propulsion systems require another piece of hardware for a means of propulsion to detect because they may be too quiet to show up on the engine noise level. When you submit a flight, you'll get a little colored ball on your flight entry. And so if it's red, then it failed some kind of IGC check. You have a V ball and an S ball. So the V ball is the IGC file status, and the S ball is the flight evaluation. If it's yellow or blue, the flight's still being evaluated. It hasn't popped out of they have an automatic system, but it hasn't popped out yet. If it's green, it's okay. If it's red, the flight failed some kind of evaluation. Usually something like a motor glider was selected, but there was no engine noise level value recorded in the file. So for instance, if you use Navigator, you're flying a motor glider and you submitted your flight log from Navigator rather than say from your FLARM or your S100 that records engine noise. Since it didn't have an engine noise level in there, it's rejecting the flight because you said, I'm flying an ASH-26E and there was no engine noise level detected or value in the file for detection. At which point you can go back, delete that file, and load one from a recorder that had the ENL. Now, OLC. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to go play games. And I've got to. Oh, come on. Wait a minute. There we go. Hang on. I have to get reacquainted with this, even though I was looking at it just 15 minutes before we started. All right. So here's the OLC homepage. You log in. I'm logged in, but there's usually a symbol over here to log in. If you are not a member on the OLC, go to the competitor, and under that, you can either update your registration information. If you're not registered, you can register. Okay, so you have an account, at which point you can upload upload flights, that kind of thing. And then, in fact, let me show you the registration page. There it goes. So, I mean, it's simple. They do have a difference. Yellow is sailplanes and green is hang and paragliders. So you have all the information that you can put in, including people that you can nominate folks to put things in for you, let you put in your clubs so that it gets tagged back to your club when you do a flight and excuse me, that kind of thing. If you need to go to the website, let's say you went and tried to do it from inside the application on your phone or on the computer in your aircraft. Every once in a while, they end up turning off those automatic submissions. I don't know why, but then they get turned back on later. But if you try to submit that way and it doesn't submit, you come over here, log on to the flight or log into the website, go to the claim flight, and then you've got the flight on your computer. You know, I keep all of mine on my computer. Pick one, claim it. They want your identification, and then I would have the file. So this is my uploaded flights. I could look at those if I had one that was uploaded and I wanted to claim it. If I want to claim one from my home computer, um, let's see, what do I keep? Oh, yeah, I keep that over here. Just a second. Let's go. Soaring flights. Yes, I really do keep all of my flights for all of those years. And I could go down here and pick this flight and select it. It would populate it in. If I said open, it would populate it in. I'm not going to populate this one. This was my partner's flight, not mine. And then you hit upload and it'll upload the flight. And then it'll give you an indication that the upload was successful and tell you to check back in a little bit. And it'll tell you how your flight evaluation was. And then they send you an email so that you know that your flight evaluation was accepted. Or if there was a problem, what the problem might be. So come on, there we go. Back to our regularly scheduled slide set. So we're going to play a little bit with this to show you what this looks like. So we're going to go to the USA page, then we'll go to the Region 9 page and drill down to uh, our region. So back over here. There we go. Come on. Nice little computer. All right, so we're going to go to North America, USA. So you could get all of the flights in the United States by going to All USA. You can get to each of the SSA regions. So let's go to an SSA Region 9. And we're going to go for 2026. Anytime now, computer. And we're going to go to scoring. Anybody fly today? Nope. So let's go to plus champion. And it reset back to, there we go. It's set back to worldwide setting. Okay, so what this is telling us is that John Johnson is at the Tucson Soaring Club, is sitting on top of the points ladder across the country for the 2026 season for the OLC Plus competition, and it will have his top 6 flights. And there are, yeah, it's not easy to see here. Let me scroll down to the bottom. So we've got a bunch of folks. 97 people have put in flights so far this year that have been scored, and you can see some of them only have 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all the way out to 6 flights. You can further narrow this down by coming in here and, for instance, going down and saying, I want to see the clubs. So now we're looking at the clubs in Region 9. And here's our club, Black Forest. And so we've had 18 people fly so far. Biff is leading the pack with 27 flights. That's what happens when you go to the seniors, and then you go to and then fly in the 20-meter nationals, and plus also you've got a self launcher, so he lives on the airport. He can go out and fly anytime the weather's good to go fly. And I want to show you one of his flights. He did this one recently and took one of our members. Here's Kelly Airport right here. I'm going to see if I can zoom this in just a little bit. There we go. That should look better. So this is the Class C airspace over Colorado Springs. You can see the edge of the Class B airspace over Denver. Pikes Peak is right about where I'm playing with the airplane, dancing back and forth, all the way over to almost to Salida, Colorado, and then down the mountain range called Sangre de Cristos. So really wonderful flight. The scoring system is, here is the classic scoring system. So this lays out segments along the flight path. Notice it's straight line segments, so it's going from turn point to turn point to turn point. And that gives the classic scoring, which is over here under the pink on the side. So he had a distance, he flew a distance of 429 or 20, let's try this again, 400, almost 421 kilometers. Because of his handicap, and I'll point that out to you here in a minute, uh, he's only getting scored for 300 and roughly 354 kilometers on a classic because he was flying an Arcus, which is a real high performance glider. The FAI section, the scoring software looks for term points that would give an FAI triangle. So in this case, he had an FAI triangle right here embedded within that larger flight that was 177 kilometers. Now, they derate it somewhat in the scoring format, but he got 44 points for that. And then the distance one that I talked about. So here's his greatest distance from where he started all the way down here of 161 kilometers. And so they have a derating for that. They add them all up, and that's how you get your points for OLC plus. And so as we go down here, here's the speeds for that portions of the flight, how long it took. And here's his scoring start. So let's look down here at the bottom of the screen for the barograph. The shaded area, his glider is a self-launcher, so the gray shaded area is where he was running the engine. So the soaring start is this little line that's right there. And for instance, in this particular scoring thing, here's his greatest distance out, and then his flight home back for a landing. If I switch back to the FAI, so here's his flight out to, here's the beginning of the FAI triangle, the distance that they're scoring. There's his turn point, his second turn point, and past his finish, and then on home. And then if we look at Classic, you can see his soaring start where he shut down the engine, and then all the way over here to that turn point, south to this turn point, back. So you can see the various segments that he flew. So there's useful information here. And if you want to make it really confusing, you can layer them all on top of each other. Okay. When we get to WeGlide, I will show you this same flight in WeGlide so that you can get a feel for the difference between the two pieces of software. It does have the time his soaring started, time soaring ended, which is his landing. Here's his handicap. So his total distance was reduced by his handicap to come up with a handicapped value. He flies for out of the Black Forest Soaring Society, so his club is listed. And up here at the top, it said it flew out of Kelly Air Park. Now, your club, if you look at the club statistics, it will show you your flights credited to your club no matter where you flew. When we go back one page, I'll show you, the list where it shows where he was flying down in Florida for the seniors and for the 20-meter championships. So you can sort this by club, you can sort it by name, you can sort it by airport. Here's when he made the flight claim, and notice the state. So the IGC file, he has a green V, which means that's an IGC recorder, and he had a flight, so it means the green S means the flight was successfully evaluated with no problems. And then if the pilot wants to put in comments, they can put in comments. He has an LXNAV computer system in the plane, and it has a button that he pushes and it loads the flight and just puts in a comment that it came up from his computer. So that's what's on the screen for OLC. Now, if we go back, so here's all of his flights, but since I'm looking at the club view, so here's where he took off at Kelly, which is our home airport, and then here's all of his flights down at Seminole, where he was flying in the either the seniors or the 20-meter championships, and then flights at Kelly. And then a summary down at the bottom of, he's gotten 7,800, almost 7,900 points, and he's had 90 and a half hours in the air uh, since November 19th. Now, we could come in here and sort this by airfield. And so now this is everybody that has flown out of Kelly. Now, notice all of these flights are showing up as Black Forest because we haven't had any visitors at our club this year. So if we'd had somebody that was visiting from another club, they would show up when I did the Kelly sort, but they would show up with the credit going to their club's statistics. All righty. Let's see if I can get back over to the presentation. There's always a little bit of lag here. We're back. So I've shown you the Black Forest page, I've shown you the club sort, and I've shown you the airfield sort. And in our club, we've gone through and taken a look at OLC Plus and shown you the flight segment for Biff's flight along the Sangre de Cristos and with the traces, and so you could see it again as the cross-country flight, the FAI triangle, and the distance out, the destination out. So now we're going to switch over to WeGlide. Okay, WeGlide's commercial product. It's an online platform. It grew out of some folks that wanted something else to do during the COVID pandemic when we were all, forced to stay home and not go play with our toys. So one of the things they decided to do is to come up with a platform to share and analyze the flights. So it has a capability for pre-flight planning and post-flight analysis. So that's different from OLC. OLC was go fly, come back, it's free distance, no task declaration prior to flight, no official observer or anything like that. WeGlide adds the concept of defined tasks. They can be specific to a given day, or you could put in a task in there for yourself that's a season-long task so you can fly it multiple times to see how you improve. Depending on your subscription level, it can provide statistics to analyze the flight. It has some tools in there which will give you feedback, most of which says thermal steeper, fly faster. And that's okay. And it can have waypoint collections so that you can manage your data. Fundamentally, it's split into three parts. There is WeGlide, which is a web-based application, and we'll take a look at that. Then there is WeGlide Live, which is a web-based tracker. So this is kind of like uh, Glide Radar, Glider Radars, Glide and Seek, to some extent similar to Pure Glide. And then we have the WeGlide Copilot, which is a smartphone app for in your cockpit, which attempts to organize some of the data about the flight. Perhaps if you're flying in an area with a number of other gliders, it can give you some indication and might say, oh, there's an effective thermal over here. Well, maybe there was 1.5 hours ago. That kind of, those kind of things. But it's, part of it is to attempt to help you offload some of your mental workload. I haven't tried it, so I'm not real familiar with it. We've got a couple of folks in the club that have tried it and really like it. We have some folks that have tried it and kind of gone, oh hum. So again, it depends on how you fly and what your approach to the thing is. Okay, so the web-based application, you've got waypoints, tasks. It can integrate weather forecast data, so you can hook it up to Top Meteo or SkySight. You can get weather satellite imagery. You can do analysis, so flight review, coaching from a McCready's perspective, comparison to others flying the same flight. You can go in and say, oh, this person flew with me. How did we compare? You can get weather history integration, so you could go back and look at an older flight and then get some weather history to look at it from that perspective. The analysis is flight review, um, and that kind of thing. The really neat thing about it is that you can upload your flights and you can upload metadata. In other words, pictures and commentary about your flight. So this becomes more social interaction around soaring than what OLC provides. However, it is a subscription service. There is a thing that's in there that is supposed to be, there's a contest organization and management section. I haven't played with that specifically. I got a simple usage out of it and was satisfied with what I was seeing. There's plenty more to explore, and I just haven't explored it. When we get over to the sharing, you can upload. Remember, I showed you in Navigator that you could upload to WeGlide. So you can upload your flights, you can upload information about your flight, you can download flights so that you can do analysis on them on your local computer. And then there's a social media interaction mechanism where people can follow you and make comments on your flights. They can send notifications, they can add comments, and you can interact with with folks. So let's go find the WeGlide page. Now we'll see how well I can fat finger this. Okay, so here's your WeGlide page. This is the opening page. You'll get prompted for a login. I just happen to still be logged in from when I was in earlier. So you can look at all the flights for today. If you want, you can come in and in this field up here, you can sort. So let's go sort for Kelly so I can see all the flights that have happened recently, people from Kelly who are registered with WeGlide. I could do it by the club. I could, I can do it by a region, all kinds of things. And here's your upload button so that you can come in and upload your flight directly if you couldn't upload it from your portable device, your mobile device. And then here's your feed. So this is, folks, here's Colin. He was flying last weekend. Looks like he had a nice flight on hour 50. It wasn't a really great day. It was a good day. I flew that day as well and enjoyed it. And several of our people were up flying. Now I'm going to scroll down here. Sorry, I'm going to roll past and go down and find Biff's flight on the 15th. That's 21st. Oops, got to go further. I was going the wrong way. You can notice that several folks have uploaded pictures, and so I'm going down to Biff's flight specifically because I showed that to you in OLC. So plenty of pretty pictures. Let's back up first. So here's the presentation of his flight. His comment down here, a good day for April, but the top of the lift was much lower than forecast. He wanted to get one of our club members a flight down on the Sangre de Cristos. That's the mountains down here. This is, 75, 80 miles out from the home airport and then a run back on the ridge line. There are several mountain peaks in this ridge line that are over 14,000 feet above sea level. It's a wonderful place to run. So he wanted to take club member down to the Sangres and told him that the bottom of our work zone would be 15,000 feet. Let's stay above the mountains and just cruise. Turned out that the 15,000 was the top of our zone. It was good lift though, and we got going right after lunch. And there's more to comment down there. So he was able to upload pictures from the flight. And you think you only see these pictures from the Alps. This is, that's Pikes Peak. Here's some of the taller peaks. That may be Crestone and Crestone Needle. Um, so you can get them full sized or you can have them in the, you know, lots of fun. And if we, let's see, I don't know if he's got more comments down here. No, but we go up to John flew on the same day. Let's see where he went. He went over basically to Salida, so he went not. This is the head of the Sangre de Cristos, so he didn't go down the Sangre de Cristos, but he went 75, 90 miles out and came back. And here's one of our club members that made the comment about the nice flight, and then John's comment under that, and he takes nice pictures. So that was the okay. So that's some of the stuff that you can do. You can have a live feed. This icon gives you the live feed for people that are currently in the air. And right now there's nobody in the air, so there's nobody on here. Sorry, the noise in the background is I was opening a cat food can for my wife. Yeah, she's right. Not for her, for the cats. And then you can have the ranks for various people, similar to what you saw on the OLC with, it looks like this is only doing 5 flights. I don't see a slider down here. And you can filter it. And then if you've got tasks, so for instance, I've identified a bunch of tasks and I'm not sure why it's not popping up a map on the background. And then segments that people have defined in an area. Again, I'm not sure why the map's not showing up on the back of it. These are segments that have been put in by folks out of Boulder to kind of challenge folks to come up and make runs, kind of like Strava segments if you're a bicyclist. And then down at the bottom is the icon for your profile. So that has your information. You've got a friends list. You can have your waypoints. Um, so I have a waypoints file in here, uh, friends list, flights list. So all kinds of interesting information that you can play with. So in some respects, it does similar things to OLC, but it also wanders off into the social media realm for uh, sharing of information and moving things back and forth between your friends. All right, we're back up on that screen. Yay. So showed you Biff's flight for the free distance. WeGlide, they have a supporter, a premium, and a level called Patreon. The supporter level is uh, free, so you get access to the Copilot app. You can get statistics and things like that. Premium, which is a paid subscription, you get coaching, advanced replay over your flight, and some administration so you can have waypoint collections and flight collections and stuff like that. The structure, the sharing membership is free. The supporter is five something a month, billed yearly. Premium is 11 something a month, billed yearly. However, the SSA is including the sharing and supporter membership as a SSA member benefit. And if you want the premium to get all of the extra details, then instead of $11 a month, it's 5.50 a month, roughly speaking. And each SSA club or commercial glider operation gets a free premium task setter account that allows the club to set up local competitions for their organizations. Some clubs have a structure where folks like to fly set tasks set by the club. It's kind of an informal competition every week or every day or whatever. Other clubs, not so much, but it does have the capability. The link over here, and well, let's just go ahead and go there. Just a second. There we are. This is the SSA's agreement page for SSA members and WeGlide. Down here are two buttons. One is membership benefits, and the other is club and commercial or affiliate benefits. I'm going to click on the membership benefits. So this is telling you what you need to do or what you get. This is telling you how to register for your free account and how to add your glider so that it will be tracked by WeGlide. That's one of the things you have to register your glider in order for it to show up on the WeGlide live tracking. This is a holdover from last year, the migrate your OLC flights to WeGlide. This is a holdover from when last October when they announced that OLC was going to go away and then they changed their mind. I don't know if this is going to apply at the end of this year when if OLC does decide to go ahead and hang it up at the end of the year. But if you've got flights that the only place you've got them stored on OLC and you want to bring them over to WeGlide, you'll have to try this and see how it works. I keep all of mine on my own computer, so I didn't need to use that. They've got some resources. And then here's the key one. This is how you sign up and get your plan for free. Okay, so this is all on the SSA page, and that can be accessed. Just a second. That can be accessed, all of that can be accessed through this link. All righty. We've reached the magic witching hour. Questions?
Doing a great job as usual. The only question I think we had was about CU and its integration into LXNav. Do you want to talk about that for a minute or two? So I think you're familiar with it, correct?
Yeah, you mean Navigator and LXNav?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, I have a S100 in my glider, and it has a Bluetooth circuit in it. The S80s, you end up with a dongle that plugs into the back of the S80, but that will then give you Bluetooth into the S80. And when I say 180, that also does the S8 and the S10. Remember, the difference is one of them's a 57 millimeter and the other's a 30 is a 80 millimeter instrument. And so what uh, CU just recently did, like in the last month, is they did an update to their software, which should have, if you've got Navigator running on anything, should have updated if you told your device to go update your apps. And what it did is it put in the software that allows you to declare on that flight management page, you can declare a task. And then at the bottom of the declaration, it has a thing that says declare to external device. And if you're connected to your S, whatever, 8 or 10, you click that button and it will load the task over to the variometer. You have to check. You may need to update the software in your variometer because CU or the Navigator people said there's a certain version, you have to be higher than a certain version. I think it's 9.4 something, like 9.48. But you got to be higher than that. I think 9.52 is the minimum. But you have to be a certain minimum software on the LX side for it to accept the task declaration. But then the task is declared over there. As far as I know, the FLARM, if you've got a Bluetooth FLARM, it does not need any software on it that the navigator understands how to declare to or the, I'm sorry, the FLARM knows how to accept the task declaration from the navigator. In my case, I have my FLARM hardwired on the back side of my S100. And when you have that situation, the S100 can then take any task declaration, no matter how it got it, and then load it into the FLARM. So in my case, then I have the S100, which has an IGC recorder in it, and I have the FLARM in my cockpit, which are in my panel, which also has an IGC recorder in it. So now I have redundant IGC recorders in addition to the software recorder that's in my Navigator device. So there's a little things that you have to do. You need to go to the LXNav website and go to their downloads, firmware, and then look if you've got an 8 or 80, 10 or 100 and see if you need to download the latest software. And you can find that on your device by going to find out what you have on your device by going all the way to the right to the settings page, scroll to the bottom, and there's an about selection there. And when you click on that, it will pop up a display and tell you what version software you have on your device.
So do you know if Navigator will load on Bluetooth to an LX 9070 off the top of your head?
No, I don't know. Be, yeah, I'm not even sure what the use case is for that. Because I mean, you're talking about two flight computers, two moving map flight computers talking to each other.
They might be talking about like loading
Oh, like a
from the
oh, getting,
CU cloud, like with the weather and everything that you
oh,
updated. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
that I don't know.
Okay. Then I think the last question is, I know this is recorded, how long until it's up on the SSA website?
Uh, Usually it's by Tuesday next week. It probably
Okay.
will be earlier, but it'll be up early next week for sure.
Okay, perfect.
Things being well, it'll be up tonight.
Ah, there you heard it. Frank's hiding in the background. So if things go well, it'll be tonight. And by going well, he means I convert it to PDF and get it to him, and then he doesn't have trouble getting to the server.
Uh,
Right.
we have to change the video a little bit and stuff, and it takes a while to render. So if I'm still awake, it'll be up. Otherwise, it'll be up in the morning. And it'll be on the YouTube channel. It'll be on the webinar area of the SSA website. That's where the YouTube channel feeds at. And it'll also be on the members site with the slide deck.
All righty. Okay, everybody. I got to take a picture of my SH-26 to replace this one, but I still love my Ventus. Everybody, have a fantastic soaring season. Be safe, get high, go fast, go far. Have a good one.